Good evening.
Hold on. I'm going to tell you. Hold on. Okay, Beth.
Okay, I'd like to call this board meeting to order via Zoom at 6:05 p.m. and announce that the board met in closed session and no action was taken. Good evening and welcome to the Elk Grove Unified School District's first virtual board meeting. Through this Zoom webinar platform, we thank you for joining us and ask for your patience in advance as we learn to navigate this new platform for conducting school board meetings. Legislative bodies, including school districts, are now permitted to hold board meetings telephonically or by other electronic means because on March 17, 2020, the governor issued Executive Order N-2920, suspending certain provisions of the California Ralph M. Brown Act. In addition, consistent with the March 19, 2020 statewide shelter-in-place order issued by the governor, Executive Order N-3320, the Sacramento County Shelter-at-Home orders issued on March 19, 2020, and April 7, 2020, and the Center for Disease Control Social Distancing Guidelines, which discourage public gatherings, this board meeting is conducted via the Zoom webinar platform. Generally, public comments can be submitted to the board on items on the board's meeting agenda and also on those items that do not relate to the items on the agenda, but are within the board's jurisdiction. Tonight, as noted on the board agenda and district's website, electronic public comments that were submitted to the board by 5:30 p.m. tonight through the Google platform accessible through the district's website will be read to the board relative to the appropriate agenda. This includes any public comment related to closed session. Also, please be advised that everyone participating via Zoom webinar is muted and all board members' votes will be by roll call. Members of the board present tonight are myself, Beth Albiani, Board Clerk Crystal Martinez-O'Leary, Board Member Nancy Cherez Espinoza, Board Member Carmen Farcina, Board Member Chet Madison, Board Member Tony Perez, and Board Member Bobby Singh Allen. In addition, today's Zoom webinar meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. We always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We could please ask Chet Madison to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Chet.
Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chet. Next, we have our resolutions. Asian Pacific American Heritage Month resolution. Ms. Zonti Pinkerton, please read any public comment regarding the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month resolution.
Madam President, there are no public comments related to the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month resolution.
Thank you. Ms. Larson, would you please present the resolution?
Happily. Good evening, President Albiani, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Asian Pacific American Heritage Month began in May of 1990. May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States on May 7, 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10, 1869. The majority of the workers who laid the tracks for the railroad were Chinese immigrants. Throughout the year, the contributions of Americans with Pacific Rim heritage are presented in the regular curriculum. However, this special focus for 1 month serves as a reminder of the combined contributions of this group. And so, I respectfully request that the Board of Education adopt a Resolution 71 that designates May of 2020 as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. I will conduct a roll call vote. Mr. Fortuna,
Aye.
Ms. Charis Espinoza,
Aye.
Dr. Martinez O'Leary,
Aye.
Mr. Madison,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Ms. Singh Allen.
Aye.
Aye, unanimously passes. Thank you. Next, we have the student expulsion involuntary transfer recommendation. Ms. Pinkerton, is there any public comment regarding a request for student expulsion?
Thank you, Ms. Board President Albiani. There are no public comments regarding a request for student expulsion.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the request for student expulsions.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. We have a vote. Ms. Singh Allen,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Mr. Madison,
Aye.
Dr. Martinez O'Leary,
Aye.
Ms. Charis Espinoza.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Forcina?
Aye.
I agree, so unanimously passes. Thank you. Next, we will move to the request for return for student expulsions. Ms. Pinkerton, is there any public comment regarding the return for student expulsions?
Ms. Board President Albiani, there are no public comments regarding requests for return from student expulsion.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the request for return for student expulsion.
So moved. Second?
Second it.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Fortuna, a vote, please. I couldn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Charis Espinoza,
Aye.
Dr. Martinez O'Leary,
Aye.
Mr. Madison,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Ms. Singh Allen,
Aye.
and myself. That's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to public comment. Public comment that were submitted during the district's Google public comments form by 5:30 tonight will be read. Ms. Pinkerton, do you have public comments to read?
Thank you, Board President Albiani. There is only one public comment not addressing any of the agenda items, and it is done by Mr. or Ms. Chidozie Iwiro, and it simply states, "I am going to bring back the school on May."
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Ms. Pinkerton, is there any public comment regarding the consent agenda?
Thank you, Board President Albiani. There is one comment regarding the consent agenda. This comment relates to item number 33. Approval of healthcare agreements. Comment reads, there's no name attached to this comment. I have only worked with Maxim staff and can only speak to the behavior therapists, AKA one-on-one aides, who are contracted to work in our classrooms. Although I have found that Maxim staff fulfill their responsibilities competently, we should discuss why so many positions must be staffed by non-district agencies. Why can't the district hire its own staff? I support contracting with Maxim because of the current need for staffing services. But this shouldn't be a long-term solution to EGUSD's staffing problems. The cost of hiring staffing services includes the cost of staff labor and staffing fees. Why is EGUSD unable to hire its own staff and avoid paying staffing fees with a staffing company? Why is EGUSD unable to attract its own healthcare staff? That's the end of the comment.
Did that have a name?
There was no name with this comment.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there discussion on the letter from anybody on the board? Okay, I would like to call for a motion to approve items 1 through 35 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. We'll have a roll call vote. Ms. Singh Allen,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Mr. Madison,
Aye.
Dr. Martinez Solir,
Aye.
Ms. Chair Espinoza.
Aye.
Mr. Forcina,
Aye.
and myself. That's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any bargaining units? Did they submit any comments, Ms. Pinkerton?
Thank you, Ms. Board President Albiani. There were no bargaining unit comments submitted.
Thank you. We will move on to public hearing action items, and we start with the adjustment to the school facilities fee. Mr. Pierce.
Thank you, President Albiani, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. The item before you tonight is the adoption of your school facility needs analysis. It's an annual item that the board adopts, and it's valid for 1 year. You last took action on April 23rd of 2019. Therefore, we're requesting action tonight. All noticing of this item and the study itself has been conducted as required by law and requested by independent third parties. It was publicly noticed on March 20th in multiple notification forums and directly shared with the North State Building Industry Association on March 16th, as well as all 3 cities and the County of Sacramento on March 6th. The calculations contained in tonight's study propose a level 2 fee of $6.34 per square foot and a proposed level 3 fee of $12.69 per square foot on all new residential construction. This represents an increase of 40 cents per square foot from the current level 2 fee. The level 1 fees will remain as set for residential construction, and the state established levels of 66 cents per square foot for new commercial and industrial development. The level 2 rate proposed tonight does represent a 6.7% increase for residential construction. The reasons for the fee increase are primarily due to the increase in the state construction cost allowances, a reduction in the district's averaged home size, and a higher site development and a higher site acquisition cost. These were all material factors in the study. To put this into perspective for the board and for the community, based on the proposed level 2 increase and the smaller average size of homes within our district, the level 2 assessment for newly constructed single-family homes will increase on average of just less than $800. Public comment will end tonight, including tonight's public hearing. I would ask the board, before you have any questions, to consider and adopt the findings contained in resolutions number 67 and 68. The board members each received comments submitted by the Building Industry Association via email. They were also forwarded to staff, including staff's response to those comments last Friday in your board communication packets. Those comments will be memorialized in tonight's meeting minutes, and Ms. Zonthi Pinkerton will read them into the public record now.
Ms. Pinkerton?
Yes, Board President Albiani, the letter submitted by the North State Building Industry Association in regards to the item 13.1 for the adjustment of school facilities fees reads as follows. Dear President Albiani and honorable school members, on behalf of the North State Building Industry Association, BIA, we respectfully submit the following comments regarding Elk Grove Unified School District's Facilities Needs Analysis, SFNA, and proposed level 2 fee increase. We respectfully request that the board consider adopting the SFNA, but postpone the collection of the additional fee amount until we have a chance to understand the unprecedented circumstances of the COVID-19 global pandemic. We understand that school districts have been hit hard by this epidemic, and schools will likely be closed for the remainder of the 2020 school year. The economic impacts of responding to the COVID-19 global pandemic have been extensive for our industry as well. Trying to absorb the additional cost of the proposed level 2 fee increase from the current $5.94 per square foot to $6.34 per square foot represents a 40-cent square foot increase and will raise the price of a new home by $1,000, also known or 2,500 square foot home. Pricing new homeowners out of the market and slowing construction starts in Elk Grove and other neighboring cities that the district serves. In a recent affordability study from the National Association of Home Builders, for every 1,000 increase in the price of a home, another 8,870 California households are priced out of home ownership. So noted by NAHBNOW.com. We urge the board to adopt the SFNA, but delay the collection of the additional fees or fee increase given our current circumstances, or revise the supporting analysis to reflect the unprecedented impact COVID-19 has had to our regional economy. The main factors increasing the district's costs are related to rising construction and labor costs, both of which are dropping across the board and will result in reduced labor and material costs once the pandemic ceases. At the very least, please consider the payment of school fees through the recently adopted Bond Opportunities for Land Development, or BOLD program. This would allow builders and local public agencies to finance school fees needed for new development using municipal bonds. This is one area where we are definitely in this together, and it will take our shared partnership to help build a new normal. It is in all of our best interest to carefully examine every dollar that is added to the cost of building a home. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please contact me if you have any questions or require additional information. Sincerely, Chris and Giles, Director of Policy and Initiatives for BIA.
And Ms. if you would. I'm sorry?
So that is our public input for our public hearing. I will close public hearing at this point, unless Ms. Pinkerton had anything else.
There is nothing else.
Thank you. Did anybody want to speak on the board? Okay,
Not me.
so I will call for a motion to approve the adjustment to school facilities fees.
So moved.
I'll second it.
I think you've seen no discussion. We'll move on to a roll call vote. Mr. Forcina? We didn't get your verbal.
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Cheras Espinoza?
Aye.
Dr. Martinez O'Leary?
Aye.
Mr. Madison?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Singh Allen?
Aye.
And myself, unanimous pass. Thank you. Number 2 on our public hearing action items, we'll call on Mr. Pierce. It's Education Code Section 17556, consideration of a resolution to convey a public utilities easement for sewer purposes to the Sacramento area sewer district, a county of Sacramento sanitation district at James Rutter Middle School.
Thank you again, President Albiani, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. This is a follow-up to the resolution number 55 that you adopted on March 3rd at your regular scheduled board meeting. You adopted an intention to convey a public utility easement at that point. We are asking you tonight to adopt a resolution formally conveying that public utility easement, as you mentioned, to the Sacramento area sewer district. This is a existing 10-foot wide easement that spans the distance of James Rutter's frontage. They are requesting at this point to expand that easement to 20 feet. It doesn't have any impact on the school district, and we can continue, our current existing functions within that area. So staff recommends acceptance of this request tonight, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. We'd like to call for a public hearing to receive any public input on the granting of this easement. Ms. Pinkerton, are there any comments to be read into the record?
Madam Board and President Albiani, there are no public comments regarding public input on the granting of this easement.
Thank you. Seeing no comments, I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion to adopt resolution number 59, conveying a public utilities easement for sewer purposes to the Sacramento area sewer district, a county of Sacramento sanitation district at James Rutter Middle School.
So moved.
Move resolution.
I have a first from Mr. Forcina, a second
Second.
from Mr. Madsen. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'd call a vote. Ms. Singh Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Madison?
Aye.
Dr. Martinez O'Leary?
Aye.
Mr. Cheras Espinoza?
That's me. Aye.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Chairs Espinoza.
Aye.
I apologize. Mr. Forcina
Aye.
and myself makes it unanimous with an aye.
Thank you.
I'm reading ahead, Nancy, sorry. Moving on to board member and superintendent reports. Who would like to submit reports on an organization or committee meeting relative to the district and its operations? Mr. Forcina, do you have any report?
I don't believe we've been meeting. Thank you.
Ms. Chairs Espinoza?
No report.
Thank you. Dr. Martinez Solir?
No report.
Mr. Madsen?
Yes, Mr. Forcina and I and Superintendent Hoffman and Mr. Pierce, we did have a meeting with Rancho Cordova virtual. And if you want to elaborate on it a little bit, Chris, you can.
Yeah, so we've been meeting with them on a monthly basis. Usually it's every quarter, but in current situations, we've been communicating a little bit more often. We've been making sure that they're aware of the work that we're doing with regards to getting distance learning up and running, the meal distributions, which included a couple of sites now in the city of Rancho Cordova. And then, as always, conversation about potential new school sites in the Rancho Cordova area are also part of the conversation. So relationships are strong, and we appreciate the relationship that we have with the city and its leaders.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Mr. Perez?
No report.
Thank you. Ms. Singh Allen?
Yes, did participate in a CSBA regional meeting for our area and just had a check-in with our region on various items, much to what Chris was talking about in regards to distance learning, what graduations might look like, meal service delivery, all of those things. So obviously we're not alone, we're all in this together. Some school districts are farther along than others, and feel really good about the situation and position that EGUSD is. And we decided to have those as regular meetings, just to, sometimes it's just to see another face that's not our family. Let's be real. That human contact is so important. And we just enjoyed checking in and seeing one another and discussing all of the shared issues and some that are unique. We did discuss a little bit, just the beginning stages of discussing graduation, if and when something like that might happen, and the options. I know that our district is also looking in on that and working with our principals. So, we're all in this shared universe with similar experiences, but it was a great opportunity. Thanks. And you can add, you were, Ms. Salviani, you were part of that. So anything I left off, please chime in.
No, I think you did an excellent job reviewing it. We appreciate a regional view of things very much so. I think we benefit from that. And I don't think we can say enough about how much we appreciate our partners in education in this time. And when you hear of things going on in the region, it always makes me realize how blessed we are to be where we are. We appreciate the people working with us to get through this so much. Mr. Hoffman, Superintendent Hoffman?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So with a couple of updates. We are back in the teaching and learning business, which is pretty exciting. We kicked off last Thursday with our secondary sites, and the elementary sites kicked off on Monday, and things appear to be going well. A lot of planning, a great deal of work from district office staff in doing all the planning. Principals have been phenomenal through this work. And our teachers talk about having to move their cheese, move off their spot, whatever term you want to use. They had to make some adjustments very quickly in their pedagogy, and couldn't be more proud to be part of the district. And great work of the cabinet team across the board. And I don't like to say it too often because his head gets big, but Mr. Mate and the technology team and the work that's been done in getting the Chromebooks in our kids' hands and the hotspots out to our kids, that work has been phenomenal. So great job across the board. We will have a progress report for the board at the first meeting in May, which will be able to give you some more details with regards to metrics and how things are going. But it looks like high 90% of our elementary and secondary students have been in contact with us and engaged in distance learning. The sites are doing a great job of following up with every individual student and family that we haven't connected with. And by the end of the week, I expect to have all of those families connected. So great work there. I do want to do a shout out to our seniors. I know this is an incredibly trying time for our seniors, and they're missing out on what should be one of the highlights of their young lives. And know that we are working behind the scenes to make sure we can do everything we can to make the end of their senior year all it can be. We are working on a virtual version of graduation, and the reason behind that is we don't know what the health departments are going to do with regards to allowing for gatherings in the near future. In our best case scenario, we'll do the virtual graduation and the kids will walk away and have that with them forever. And we'll also be able to do some form of an in-person graduation. So best case scenario, kids get both. But in a worst case scenario, if things don't turn and we can't get people together, the kids will at minimum walk away with a keepsake of their senior year. So a lot of work to be done. A lot of other celebrations we will do, 6th grade promotions, 8th grade promotions, kindergarten promotions, all those kinds of ideas we're working through. But again, we'll have a more detailed report for the board at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Senior awards night as well, correct?
Yes, we're working on awards nights as well.
Thank you. Other items from the floor? Ms. Singh Allen?
And just wearing my parent hat. I have a graduating senior, just like you, Ms. Albiani. I'm impressed with so many, not just, a shout out to my son, but his friends and a number of others that I've heard from parents. They're weathering the storm as much as they can. And I think just in the long run, this is going to be a true moment in time where they'll reflect and look back and how they handled such a conflict in their life. So where it's a great character test, and what we can't make up for sharing and in our personal engagements and being together and celebrating, they're understanding something much more important on a global level of what's really important. And I know I have those conversations, and I know those conversations are taking place around all over the world. This is the one time that we all in the world are having this sort of shared experience, and it makes the world so much smaller. And I'm just proud of not only all of our students, but our families for being as strong as they can be under such difficult circumstances, for giving our school district grace in working through our glitches in this last week. So I just want to, just continued strength and prayers for our community globally.
Thank you. Mr. Perez?
Nothing to say.
Thank you. Mr. Madison?
No, I'm okay.
Dr. Martinez-Alier?
I just have a minimal comment. I want to appreciate everybody's support and our staff members and all the teams that have been working together to get that distance learning going within the last week and a half. We appreciate, and I truly appreciate that, and proud of all the seniors this year, and looking forward to honor them in a way that virtually. And I know a number of our programs are trying to connect with families in different ways, like our Indian education program or Native American program, reaching out to some of the families virtually. So I appreciate all that. So I just wanted to mention those comments.
Thank you. Ms. Chairs Espinoza?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I suppose the first item could have been a board member report under my hat as a legislative advisory committee member. Just wanted to state for the public that along with President Albiani, Mr. Forcina, and possibly some others, we're going to be participating in some advocacy efforts to enhance what the superintendent and members of the cabinet have already been doing to try to position our district in a better place financially. And there's a tremendous amount of work being done already, looking ahead to the future as best as one can. And I want to thank my colleagues for joining with me in that. The other thing I wanted to say is that in the early days of the school closure, the weight of the decisions that had to be made really wore on all involved, superintendent, members of the cabinet, and the tens of thousands of people that we serve will never have an up close seat like we do to see how those decisions wore on them. But I want to say that I very much appreciate the way that they went about that work in those early days, the way they continue to do it now. There's not a single department or division in this district that I'm not extraordinarily proud of and grateful for. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but we can't say it enough. Thank you so much for rising to the occasion, keeping students and the people that we serve at the focus all the time. And I couldn't think of a better team with which to head into these uncharted waters. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Forcina?
Thank you, Ms. Albiani. I certainly echo the words of all my colleagues. Just want to share some observations. As I look at my grandchildren and speak with parents who are friends of our family, one thing has been kind of evident, and that is that kids with arts backgrounds are having more choices in terms of how to fill their time. We all know, and we've talked for so many years, that in good times and in bad, the arts are the first thing to be cut when something has to go away. And yet, right now, as we all have to deal with the stay-at-home orders, again, I see a lot of creativity coming out of those kids who have those backgrounds, and it shows the importance of providing those opportunities to our kids. So, can't wait for us to get all the kids back in school. Looking at providing some sort of actual walking graduation for my grandson Jacob and a number of his close friends. We have places where we could do that so we can still maintain safe distance, and spoken with the superintendent, who's certainly supportive of that, and looking forward to continued good times. Thank you.
Thank you. I think my colleagues are very well spoken in our appreciation for both the public, for our students, for our staff, and for our district office and the work that's been done here. As a mother home with 4 teenagers, I also look forward to school starting. Any time would be fine, but we must all be safe. So please take care of yourselves. It is very nice to see my colleagues, even if it is on this teeny screen. And this concludes our first virtual board meeting through Zoom webinar. Thank you for joining us. It is 6:39 and I now adjourn the meeting. Stay safe.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank you.